Beach House are a dream pop duo from Baltimore. They are Victoria Legrand and Alex Scally. They started working under that name together in 2004. Their first album came out in 2006, and they have had 7 more albums since then. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album 7 by Beach House. It was released in 2018 and was their 7th album. It's my first time listening to it. I have reviewed one of their albums before. So this has been described by other people as being dream pop, and I'm happy to go with that. So a couple of reviews ago, I reviewed a Sigur Rós album, and with this in close proximity to that, in my head at least, you may be cherry picking or you may be listening through in order. I know I have people who do both. I can find strong resemblances between the two. At the end of that review, I said that something irritated me about it, just a little bit. And maybe I have the same thing that's going on here, the same irritation. But as I think about it, it's less of an irritation and more of a sense of unease. And I think that applies to the Sigur Rós album as well. So I will come back to this. Let's do some description. This is drony stuff. It's light on percussion and spikes. It's very long on textures, most of which feel like the kind of sound. I've commented on this aspect before with dream pop and slowcore and shoegaze and things like this. The aim here is to make the musical equivalent of an awkward person who sits in the corner at a party, hoping that nobody will notice them too much, occasionally laughing at something that somebody else says, but please don't notice me. I'm not really here. Don't pay me too much attention. I'm not very confident. This is, so it kind of is music that pulls away from drawing too much attention to itself. And there's been several, as I said, several kind of different genres. Somewhere from about the year 2000 onwards, I'd say, that have done this, that I've been encountering as I've been doing these reviews. It's emphasized by those very light, airy vocals. On occasion with lyrics, on this occasion, with lyrics that are mostly quite positive, but also fairly inconsequential. When I get to what I'm doing here is I'm not reading out, but interpreting some notes that I've got, which is on the screen. You can see my eyes flick up and down. And as I write the notes, I'm usually listening to some of it again. I do 2 listens. I do a listen, then I read, then I listen. And then I found that I'm doing other bits of listening again as I'm reading notes, just checking what I'm saying. It came as no surprise to me in those bits of listening as I'm writing the notes that none of it felt familiar to me. So no more than you would remember the sound of a particular truck in background traffic noise. And I assume that this is part of the intent, that this is the idea, is that it's not in your face, it's not memorable, is kind of this sitting backness. And if that's what they're attempting to do, which I believe it is, they're doing it well. They're doing it quite well. But there's something subtle going on here, I would say. And I particularly noticed it in this album. It's not got the feel of ambient music that I would say is designed to be background. This is not quite like that. It feels like it's trying to sound like it's trying to be noticed, but failing. A bit like a good comedian might be acting like somebody who's boring. And I guess the word boring maybe does kind of project onto this album or what. But the feel that I'm getting is a quiet desperation. So this is where I find that it gets quite disturbing to me, because as I was thinking about this, I started to think music music styles tend to become popular because they speak to a certain section of the population. I know that this kind of music is generally more popular with people who are younger than I am. It may be popular with people at my age as well. So this kind of dreamy pop stuff is represented quite a few times on this list. So there must be quite a bit of popularity for it. So it must be that people resonate with this. Bear with me here. I know there's a bit of a chain of logic here. If people feel that this speaks to them, and if it's true that it's the disconnectedness and the fake cheeriness and emotional suppressedness that is kind of feels vacuous, almost like somebody who's been traumatized to a state of shock. Well, I really hope that this is not the predominant experience of young people, because if it is the case, that is desperately sad. So if yeah, please do contradict me and tell me that I've got this wrong. Maybe it's just because it's a reaction to all the rock and pop that's gone before that is very much listen to me, hear me. I'm, very bombastic, and it's the opposite of bombastic. So I hope that I'm wrong, and I've kind of connected this to it. So I really like the artist Poppy. She has this personality which is the kind of light and airy and vacuous thing, which she's obviously doing as a satire. Or I really hope she's doing it as a satire. And most recent stuff she's done has got kind of alternates between that singing and really growly, very emo, kind of emotive kind of stuff, letting it out. But it's that it has that. It reminds me of this kind of disinterested, but desperately disinterestedness. Anyway, that's me philosophizing, partly because I guess I've done the description that I've got, and partly I wanted to dig into why do I find this mildly disturbing, and I think this is why. I think it's this kind of feeling of desperate suppression of emotion in here. As I say, please feel free to contradict me. Please feel to tell me what you think of this album, what you think of Beach House, what you think of my review. If you think I'm way off, then please say so. I love to hear from people who disagree with me and from people who agree with me. But that's it from me for now.
You want to go inside the cold. It's like a